So I'd love to kick this off. We're going to kind of talk about your sales process, and we're going to break it down into the 3 steps, from like the pre-research call to the on-the-call stuff to the post-call stuff. So starting with, the pre-call process, what are some things that you're doing ahead of a call that helps set you up for to have a good call?
Yeah, and I want to make sure that I am personally going to take my experience on this, which is inbound. So the process for maybe outbound is going to be a little bit different. And I could argue that maybe it's not that different. So just apply it to your own situation. But in our case, we get a lot of inbound lead generation, and we have to vet out who we want to talk to, who we want to refer out. So this is going to go into the fact that we vetted them out and we're getting ready to have them on a call. So the research that I do on the front end, I just do a few quick, simple things that will save you a lot of pain and agony. The first is I just Google the brand name and I see what kind of branded results show up for them. And occasionally you'll find things like the FCC or the FTC has sent them letters, or like I've had those instances where I can tell this company's in major hot water. And so I'm likely going to hear that on the call. And if I don't, that's a major red flag. I've also found instances where you can see that their reviews are trash. Like they have a product or a service that consumers are just not good with. So those leave opportunities to find out on the call. And obviously we all know as professionals, we're not going to lead with that on the call. We're going to be very careful about how we present that information, but they could have sold the business and a new guy or lady coming in could be there to have to handle that situation. The other thing I like to do is go to Glassdoor and see what their own team has to say about leadership. And that's become something we do quite regularly because, quite frankly, we had a client that I think we kept them for longer than any agency ever had kept them previously. But after we kind of had a flame out with them, very dysfunctional person, I looked at their Glassdoor and it was like 2 stars. And it was like, these are the worst people ever. And these are terrible. Like, do never work for this company. And it mirrored exactly what our situation was. I was on my 50th birthday party over in Ireland, and the client is calling me and text bombing me, and she knew I was out of the office. Just really crazy stuff. So anyway, those are just a few things. Just I always tell new representatives, like, you make Google your friend when it comes to research. Even if you don't have Sales Navigator or you don't have other data tools, there's a lot of places you can go to just get the early information and then read the reviews and be familiar with that. The other pre-call research process, our company probably like a lot, we get their initial information, maybe 5 or 8 questions that kind of categorizes them if they're an initial good fit or not based on budget, other factors. But then we send, it used to be, Colin, I'm not kidding you, it used to be over 70 questions, which was nuts. And we started getting a little pushback on that. It's actually down to 48 questions now, but the way we have it with the type form is every page has an image and every question can be skipped. So we don't force them to it. And the way we pitch this is you're going to save yourself an hour by taking 15 minutes to give us this complete information. So, and if they don't fill that out, we'll push back on having the meeting. And again, everyone is different, what you're going to want to collect. For us as an agency, there's a lot we need to know about the e-commerce brands that we work with. So we don't have a driver personality on the call, an owner that we're sitting there asking return on ad spend questions and CPA questions and conversion rate questions and all of this kind of technical data that they could give to someone, have them fill that out. And that way our call is spent strategically and talking about their challenges and their pain and how we can resolve that.
Interesting. I mean, it's definitely something that's going to only play well on an inbound where somebody's already interested. If you're going outbound to somebody where there's like no momentum yet, it'd be very hard to be like, hey, now that you've,
it would be impossible. But the bottom line on either for inbound or outbound is, I would hope most outbound are going after a Dream 50 or Dream 150 or having a very targeted, sales approach. And of course, with the platforms and Salesforce and HubSpot and everything else, Copper, you can do blanket campaigns, of course, but that's where all of that messaging is going to be thoroughly thought out, and you're not going to be looking at every client up front. But obviously, when you do get those hooks and you get people with interest, taking a few moments to not just go from one call to another, build yourself at least 15 minutes between your appointments. And in that 15 minutes, you can do a lot of research that makes that prospect think that you've spent quite a lot of time learning about them. And one of my big tips is always read the About Us on the client's website. The About Us, if they have it, in most cases they do, you will find out their story. Is this a family business? Have they sold it recently? What do they love? What are their charitable causes? What are the things that make them tick? Why are they doing this business? Why are they in this? So you'll find that in a lot of About Us. And so those are the things you can come onto a call and say, wow, I noticed that on your About Us, you said you're really involved with the Humane Society. That's fantastic. I have a dog. Or again, you're finding those areas of common ground right from the very beginning on the call. And again, I can do everything I've already mentioned short of the typed form in 15 minutes.